On April 20th, 2010, the Deepwater Horizon disaster changed the lives of millions living near the Gulf of Mexico, as well as the scientists who responded to the crisis. These are some of their stories, intimate portraits of research, innovation, discovery. Welcome, I'm Jim McNamee, editor of Dispatches from the Gulf, a series of documentaries, short videos, and podcasts. Today we're going to spend a few minutes with an oceanographer who compares his job to a modern-day explorer.
My name's Joe Montoya. I'm a biological oceanographer and I'm professor of biology at the Georgia Institute of Technology. My specialty is studying how organisms, particularly small planktonic organisms, are critical in moving elements like carbon and nitrogen through the ocean. I first became interested in science as a child. I grew up in a military family. We moved quite a bit and spent part of our time when I was a child overseas in Japan and Okinawa. So I had early exposure to the ocean, early exposure to ships, and then I moved to the desert. We lived in Fort Bliss, Texas for a time, and I next saw the ocean in California and was just absolutely struck by the contrast between terrestrial dry ecosystems and aquatic systems. I never looked back. I've been fascinated by how the oceans and how organisms in the ocean work ever since then, and I've been fortunate to have the opportunity to come out on research vessels, to work out at sea, and to work closely with other scientists in trying to understand how the ocean functions as an integrated physical, chemical, biological system.
Like most people, Dr. Montoya vividly remembers when he first heard about the Deepwater Horizon Oil Spill.
My initial reaction was that it was just another spill. I had no context, no appreciation for the magnitude or even for the tragedy initially. The very first word I had was of a rig fire. There were rumors of injuries and then there were rumors of fatalities. As the magnitude became clear, like everyone else, I was appalled, I was shocked, and very concerned about the impact of this spill, not just on the people that work and live here in the Gulf, but on the open ocean ecosystem. I was fortunate to get out to sea just after they capped the wellhead. In August, September of 2010, we had a cruise to this area, and we were able to carry out some of the earliest focused and interdisciplinary studies of how oil was affecting the ecosystem all the way from the sea surface down to the sea floor. We weren't by any means the first to do this, but I do believe we were the first independent academic scientists to get out here with a large focused field program to really begin to assess how the Deepwater Horizon incident might play out over time.
And like all oceanographers, Joe Montoya's favorite place to be is on the water.
I have to say it's the best part of the job for me. In many ways, being a professor is the finest kind of career one can have. We have tremendous freedom. So for me, being out at sea, being on a ship like this is one of the most rewarding parts of the job. Our typical day at sea begins from the previous day not ending. We sample through the night. We're often up at all hours. We are deploying equipment, collecting samples, processing samples throughout the day. For me personally, a typical day will involve deploying the CTD rosette, an instrument which lets us collect water samples through the water column 2, 3, perhaps 4 times, drawing water from that device and putting it into bottles for experiments, and then finally terminating experiments we started on previous days. Middle of the day and middle of the night, we'll deploy a big net system we have to collect animals, and at various times during the day, we'll collect samples from the seafloor. So everybody aboard ship works tremendously hard. Ship time is one of the most valuable resources for people in my business, and both the opportunity and the privilege of working on a ship like this is unique. So we make use of every minute we possibly can when we're out here. We have tremendous opportunities to explore things intellectually. Going out to sea carries that to a whole other level. We are explorers in a fundamental sense of the word. We are able to go out into environments that few people are ever able to even experience.
Today, thousands of scientists, oceanographers, chemists, engineers, biologists, are all working together to develop newer and better ways to understand and ease the impact of oil spills. To learn more about their work, visit our webpage at dispatchesfromthegulf.com. Funding for this podcast was provided by a grant by the Gulf of Mexico Research Initiative. And thanks for listening.